So as you can see, the over here on the trend criteria, it says the trend is down and trending. Okay, so I think that's nice and helpful. It's just like heads up, like, hey, what's going on with the trend? Right now, like, and we try to make that accurate. I'm going to demonstrate a couple different ways to look at it. Basically, I like to have it with no color background whatsoever, but we're going to get into the color background and a little bit into the optimization of the software and just overall ideas and principles that are going into effect with this software. So just want you guys to know what we're going to be looking at here. So as we get into the Elite software settings, we're just going to be going over uh, just some of the stuff that's important as you're looking at the Elite software. And we do have the ability to do some different alerts, and like if you wanted to email yourself the alerts, you could do that. So whenever the all the stars in the sky align and you get a diamond, then you would also be emailed an alert or text messaged alert. If you look down there, you can also put down text messaging, how to structure that text message based on your phone number and that kind of stuff there. The other thing that you can do is, and I'm just going to come down to the important areas, time settings. We have roughly 12 different indicators built into one piece of software, all working together in tandem to do what it does. All right. So the first one we're going to cover is really the time piece. Okay. This is app time that I'm sure many of you know and love. And as we're looking at the timepiece, please just set the start time to the start time of the market, whatever time that begins in your neck of the woods, and set that appropriately. Now, here's the tricky part. Okay, filter the time filter for support and resistance. Okay. For what I'm doing today, we're going to leave that setting on. I really like the time filters. I think it's a good way to trade. It helps you not to overtrade because you're only going to be trading during certain times of the day. You can turn the time zones on or off, so if you physically just don't want to see them, you can just turn them off. Software does take a little bit of time to process, so if you turn them off, it may take you a while. The software is very, very heavy in data mining techniques, so when you flip things around and you have a lot of days loaded, then be prepared to wait. Okay, it's super duper crazy in that sense, right? So I'm gonna leave those time zones on, and one other thing that I want to talk to you about is time window size. I always put it to 7, and that setting's all the way up here at the very top, so it's not with all those other time things, so I might actually change that around. But I made that from a programming standpoint, I did that just so that you can program in what time window you want to see, and so that's why that's not with all the other time settings. Looking down here, here's the trend filters. Now we're on a 6-range chart, and right now I'm not showing you the background color of anything. Okay, so like the background's not painted with the trend. Okay, but here are a couple of the important settings for the 5 criteria that we're using for trend that I give everybody access to. There are several that I don't, but those are 2 of them on a small range chart, and I'm just going to show you a little bit of what this looks like and compare it with one another as we're going along. Like if we're in a small range chart and doing what we're doing, then maybe make these values really, really high. All right, and we're going to color the background trend down here. And just so we can easily see everything, I actually decided that this this color was a little too light for me here. So I'm going to turn it into this light salmon color instead, and I can right click on here and hit set as default, and that'll save those settings for this particular software. I do have plans to bring the software into TradeStation and see our charts for sure. Basically, I'm looking to take it to all platforms. The only question is how similar is it going to be in all the different platforms, because all the database structures and stuff are very different. So I'm trying to work around that right now. All right, so here is the trend colors turned on. Okay, so basically, I should probably turn on the previous diamonds just so it looks cool, huh? All right, so basically what we're doing is we are using these trend criteria to filter the trend. All right, and it is coming in here and filter, 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 filter. You get these nice little diamonds in the areas that they are at the right times of day. Okay, now with the background being painted, you can also see that like when we're in a light trend to the downside as well as when we're in a very heavy trend to the downside, and I think that's pretty cool. For some reason we flipped slightly green there just for a second. Okay, so that's what that is representing. All right, now the other thing that you need to know, well, that's just the color settings, and if you want to do the color thing, that's fine. All right, it looks like I also have my time zone set to true, so I'm going to set that to false real quick. Okay, so now they're not there. Now you also notice that we do have white areas, and a lot of times what those white areas mean is that those are periods of range where the trend is basically neutral. So that's what those are going to represent if you see a lot of those as we're scrolling along here. Okay, so neutral, you know, it is what it is. So basically it's probably a good idea not to be trading during several of those areas. Okay, so that's a little bit of how the trend color goes. All right, now I'm going to show you this as well. All right. I think this is very, very interesting. Okay, I really like this in many ways. So if we adjust, we can adjust these settings. I usually like 15 for this one, and if we go down to 5, that's cool there. But if you do change those around, I recommend moving these things around. And personally, I like this setup for this right here. You can either say set these dynamically, I want to set them myself, or you can let a AI piece of software that's already developed control the weights of all of these different trend criteria. Okay. The benefit of doing that is it is going to look at how the market flows. Okay. We always have to change our perspective on the markets due to seasonality. The market conditions change over time. As we're looking to change these different weights, and if the software changes them for us, it is going to be looking at a bunch of things that you're probably not going to be seeing directly with our eye. You observe them mentally, but you do not see them, all right? So that is what we're going to be looking at there. And basically it's a nice little weighting scale for us. Okay. So the questions ask, why change those numbers? And that's actually a really good question. Maybe I didn't lead into that in the correct way. All right. The reason why I'm looking at changing those numbers is because I feel that when you're on a small range chart like this, we need to have the numbers as I had in previous settings. If you're on like a bigger time frame, I think it's okay, like if we bump this thing up to, let's say, a 15 range chart, okay, we need to change it so that these settings are appropriate for right now. And that's why I like to weight these just a little bit differently on like a bigger time frame. Okay, that's where I'm setting things right here. Okay, and again, the idea is that it filters out some of the chop and stuff like this. Let's go back into just live market action, and I'm going to kind of readjust this thing back to where I like to put it. Okay, we're just going to see this thing work for a little while. All right, I'm going to spend a little bit of time here talking about multiple time frames and things of that nature. Just the market analyzer type of idea. All right, so right now here on the euro pound, we have a confirmed demand, and the software is a little intense, so sometimes it's not able to process all the markets here in NinjaTrader. This is one of the big things that I'm working on right now. Right now we are having a bounce off of this level. The trend is up and trending, and I should be seeing up and trending on here, but like I said before, this software is pretty intense. We know that the trend is up and trending on our context charts, and you guys can see what's going on there right now on the euro pound. Again, this just makes it super duper easy to scan a whole bunch of different instruments, know when things are going down, and be able to take the appropriate call to find those nice, neat trend follow setups as they're happening. It is a beautiful market scanner in that sense. All right, so if you want to do all your Forex markets or all your stocks or bonds or ETFs, that would be wonderful, to manage a fund with something like this, just because we're able to like plot out all this stuff automatically for you and so that you're just looking for the best opportunities and being like, oh, well, there it is, now do you really want to take that, based upon your risk reward? I mean, there's your pivot, just barely kissing the zone, and up there we have some resistance on the 60-minute time frame. Looks like we're making new highs, so this could be a nice little bounce that we're having to retest previous supply becoming demand. Looks like we're pushing up into the uptrend, pushing through a 6-weekly level, yada 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 yada. That's the type of quick power that we can provide with this system. That's really a cool feature for me personally, just to be able to see this type of stuff going on. And this is a real-time indication give you, just so you know. So it's really looking for the real-time indication of an engulfing bar happening on this smaller time frame in line with the trend. That's how it works. That's how it can save us so much time, because it's giving us really cool opportunities all over the place. Just wanted to share that with you guys as well. Even though the trend is down, and with this software and with these ideas, just using it at the time of day, yeah, we may not get that many signals in a day. It keeps us out of a lot of junk. And so it's really nice to just have it filtered out to where all we're doing here is we're just waiting patiently, being calm, collected, not over trading, and just letting it play out and let the software do all the heavy lifting for us, At least that's what I'm doing, and it's a good patience builder, Like, if you're not familiar with that type of technique, it's just gotta wait patiently. Your brain's not overactive. I'm not constantly watching the charts. Technically, I think I could probably trade today. I'm not going to, just because I'm going to try to really explain and share with you guys what's going on and how it's doing what it's doing. You just will need to wait patiently for the signals and wait patiently for the trend and things to develop. And again, I'm just trying to take how I think and put it into software. If I'm an artist or something like that, then for lack of a better term, this is my canvas that I'm painting on. All right, so the way that this thing works is, as far as the zones go, on such a small range chart, and perhaps you're not familiar with the Apizones methodology or anything, really what we're looking at here is these levels help us determine support and resistance, okay, as we turn them on and off of our charts. Okay, so how do we know what the future is going to hold? Well, nobody knows the future. What we are using is, in just a very, very simple explanation, in the Apizone system, is we are using a combination of support and resistance and supply and demand to basically give us a guideline as to where's high, where's low, and where we are in between those two. Okay, so we've seen price bounce off of a 60-minute supply up here, pulling from another time frame. We're moving down to demand down here below us from 2011 down to 2005, all right? If the trend is down, okay, and trending, all right, then when we see a diamond like this pop up here and we're in a downtrend, guess where we can start to take it? Okay, we can start to take it to the levels just below us, all right? As far as the system goes, if we show the next zone below us, if we're entering here, all right, forget this level and aim for this level just down there for a target, okay? Aim for the 60-minute zone where you see those two aqua 60-minute lines. Aim for that for a target, okay? We're doing our best to follow the trend, okay? And that's all. And maybe this is too much of a target, maybe it's too small of a target. I'm going to let you be a risk manager and determine that for yourself. How much risk are you taking on this trade? How much do you need to pull out of it, okay? I have my rules, and obviously everybody here can join the Apazones community and see my trade plans and see the other mentors and proteges that have become mentors. You can see all of our trade plans. I mean, it's no big deal, but what we're trying to do is follow the trend with support and resistance and trend, you know, obviously a good indication of trend, with these very basic ideas of supply and demand, support and resistance, time of day, all that type of stuff to give us really good entries, okay? Entries that will help us get the edge from the very start, all right? So in the most simplistic form possible, all we're looking to do is buy and sell pullbacks in the direction of trend. We don't know, nobody knows if it's going to work out, but we're just putting all the different factors in our favor. The software is taking 12 different aspects. We're weighting them dynamically. It's weighting them as it grows with the market, as it sees more market action. It can adjust its own settings. Okay, those are the things that I'm developing because at the root of the issue is the markets experience variable change. Sometimes the markets are super duper fast and they just like, it looks like they're in a crazy downtrend and everybody's bailing out and you're like, oh man, I totally missed that trade. And other times it's very, very slow. It always experiences variable change. Therefore, we have to have software that can experience variable change. A moving average is not variable change, okay? A moving average doesn't measure variable change. It's an average, okay? It's not variable, okay? It just measures whatever has been plotted, okay? We need something more dynamic, and that's kind of how the system works and plots and thinks and my logic behind things. So I hope that makes sense. It's just a programmer's approach to trading. Nobody knows what's going to happen. But it gives us a real idea of where support and resistance going to be happening on our chart. That's what the software does. That's why it's an analysis tool. That's why when we flip over to this workspace here and we saw that thing lining up to the upside, you know, like now that as we look at this trade, you see the nice little diamond. It's the candle has finished plotting and boom, there's the diamond, okay? And, you know, we can see some potential to the upside. And if we look and read the trend over here on this time frame, it just says up and trending, you know. Now, when we use 3 different time frames over here with fractal confluence, you know, we can see the same levels pop up over and over again. You know, like we can see, like there's a weekly zone right there, and on our daily chart, we can see the weekly or the daily zone that's inside the weekly level, and so on and so forth. You know, like we can build a case of confluence, a case of fractal confluence. But if you're purely using volume data, you're not always going to be able to do that. And especially on Forex, you won't have any idea where any of these levels are based on volume data in Forex because volume in Forex is absolutely hidden. It's not there. Take it for what it's worth. I just am a big believer in fractal confluence, and It's programmed out in a very logical way because I feel that there are market events, and that's what I want to let price tell me is when has it made a market event, when it has it not. So that's the way that the software works. That's the way my brain works. I hope that helps as far as that explanation goes. Maybe I over-explained it a little too much, but I really want to help you guys understand this stuff. This Elite software is only available for a limited time to our current members that are not part of the mentorship. Okay, so I want to sit down with you guys and say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we got going on. This is how it works. It's really cool, like just being able to let the trend be something without having to overanalyze it and analyze it on every single bar. Just let it give you the trend, I think is very worthwhile. Now, will you trust it? That's a whole nother topic. It's really, really cool when we have a lot of automation coming in there and, weighting the system for ourselves or weighting the system, learning as or as it experiences more price action, learning what settings it should change on its own. I feel that that's really into artificial intelligence as it's learning the market with you. It's learning how to see big pullbacks. Um, that's really important. Being able to do that well, just identify the pullbacks well, is huge. You know. Anyway, that's why I wanted to let the colors plot, just so that you guys could see those things with us here. And see how that looks in correlation with everything else. So we just saw a little diamond get created here at the time of day here on the FDAX, and you can kind of see what that looks like in real time. And obviously we had more than enough space for it to plot this thing in relation to this low down here. Does the software work with the NinjaTrader playback mode? That's a great question. I believe it should. I actually haven't tried it yet, but I believe it should. There's no reason why it wouldn't. So I'm only placing the elite indicator on the entry charts. Actually, no. I like to use it for the idea of trends. You can use it on your entry chart, but like on the swing trade stuff, I think it's good to use it on your context time frame, whatever that may be. Okay. So you can put it on your entry too. I think it needs to give you a good idea of context. Okay, so in that way, I guess you could say you might want to put on them both. Now, something else that I also want to go through with everybody here is this idea of turning on and off the time filters. Okay, so let's say that you're trading during non-US sessions, or let's say you just don't care about the time zones so much. Okay. So you can turn those off and you can just let the diamonds plot wherever they may. Okay, so now we can see the diamonds that are plotting during the Globex times, and you're going to see a lot more diamonds this way. Just because, yes, it is following trends, we're going to see a lot more because it's now no longer time filtered. All right. So if we go through the Globex session, like you'll see some amazing things, but it's just going to stay with trend, just buying and selling pullbacks in the direction of trend. Every once in a while, you'll see that nice little R up above price representing the range-bound market that the system is automatically detecting, and that is how it works. Okay, so range-bound markets, be careful, because it's range. Therefore, look to take profits quickly. When you see one of those things pop up, and you can just kind of see in the background how this thing performs. I'm just showing you the raw stuff. Yes, it does a lot of really cool things in the background, but this is just raw. I really don't know if the 4-range ES chart is a great chart to put it on. I don't know. Obviously we're doing it on this chart. So but I just love how it's able to Like you can see these chocolate levels down there, and it's like range, 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 range to the downside even, and that's where the flip happened. Okay, so it went from short to long right in there. All right, so resistance becoming support, and it flip-flops and goes to the upside. I just think that's really, really cool, you know. So, and it's just using the principles that we teach in the Epizones community. So if you're not familiar with those and you're brand new to everything, then please check out the Epizones website. We do have the special pricing for the Elite right now until the 31st. After that, you won't be seeing this product outside of the mentorship. We see the community as already knowing probably a lot about what's going on in the background as far as how we have programmed this thing out. So if you are already a member, or if you're brand new, we may be able to talk to you. But if you want to take advantage of it, then this is the website, and Jeff is giving the link out into the room, I believe, okay, for this special sign up. And that is only applicable for the rest of March, basically, okay? After that, it goes back into the mentorship, and only the proteges and mentors get to use the software. Now the mentorship is kind of a unique thing because I really believe in passing it forward. So after you become a protege and after you get trained and you have a successful track record, then you get to become a mentor and you get to pass it forward. And I think that is really, really unique just because of the way that we structure everything. When you buy the mentorship, the majority of the money actually goes to the person that is mentoring you because they are the expert. They've passed all these different criteria to become the mentor. Okay, so that's what we're doing with things, and that's how we keep it passing it forward. New people come in. We train them up, we get them successful, and then they pass it forward and pass it forward. That's what it looks like right now, and I just think that's absolutely awesome. So we'll be posting the link there for the special elite pricing here in just a minute or two, and go back just to watching live chart data. Okay. I'm now taking off all of the time of day filters on all these different markets just because I want you to see what that looks like without the time of day filter on there. And again, if you want to see the diamonds being plotted, what you need to do is show the entry candle. You need to set that to true or false depending on whether or not you want to see this. The weights are now, right now on this version, on the current version, you can change the weights yourself or you can just go with what the system says. Technically, you can change all these different settings if you want to, but I recommend you know what all the trend criteria mean before you change them. And we're going to turn these off right here. All right, so now if we open up this chart, we may see a few more diamonds. All right, again, it's just a bigger time frame, and it is what it is, So if it's not happening at the right time of day, and that no longer is a factor as much, all right? So you just get to see the diamonds for what they are. Now, you'll also notice that this one actually paints the background, and again, the white areas are when you see the background not being painted either color and it goes white. That's the chop filter coming into play. I think this is really interesting. When we actually take off the time zones a little bit, that actually looks kind of cool, guys. Like, that is what I'm looking for. I don't know about you, but I think that's pretty cool how that works. And yes, you can see how filtered those time zones make things, I just think that's really, really interesting. Let's switch to this market as well. Personally, I think even with this view, like, I mean, this is pretty good. Like, it's obviously just done a changeover for the trend, so we got a couple really decent, like, pops to the upside. There was a 60-minute level down here, as I recall, and it looks pretty decent. So that's really what we're doing. We're just trying to make the complex simple. and keep to our trade plan, do things like that. We just got another little pop here on ES, and again, this is without the time zones filtered, so we just got another little diamond here, and we'll see how that looks. Now this again isn't at the time of day, at the top or the bottom of the hour. We're coming really close to the bottom of the hour, but it's not quite there. So even the non-filtered, time-filtered approach is pretty decent, But I like the discipline that the time zones give us, so it really helps out a lot. All these diamonds pop up in real time, or if you want to, you can do that. You just have to change the settings in here and go over to the epizones elite, and then you could say instead of calculate on bar close equals true. If you set that to false, then the signals, the diamonds will form in real time as we get the proper price action that forms each one of these things. Okay, I like to have it on bar close because it's a little bit more solid, but it is up to you how you want to handle that. And don't forget, we do have the Apazones special here on the website. So this is a special, and for this special upgrade right now, we're asking you to contact us directly on a case-by-case basis. So, and again, this offer is only good until March 31st. Otherwise, you will have to purchase the full mentorship.